Okay, morning everybody. Mid-process on these brakes, and you guys seen my video from yesterday, so I figured before I go too much further, I'd stop and give a little explanation of what I got going on here. So this is a full brake kit from LFG Manufacturing, LFG MFG, and they did a really good job getting this kit all the way dialed. Amongst all of the aftermarket stuff that I've put on this one and many of the other rigs that I've worked on, this is a really complete kit, and everything lines out and measures out, and I have everything that I need. All of the drop downs and optional extra little instructions, those all were primo. And so I'm in really good shape after just a couple hours yesterday of busting this stuff apart. So let me show you what we got going on. We've got front and rear rotors that are going to match. They're drilled and slotted. And then I've got the replacement front pads for the V6 calipers. V6 calipers are dual piston, and that's what 4-cylinder guys upgrade to, is the V6 stuff. So there's no reason to mess with anything up there except for new rotors and pads. So we'll do that in the front. And then we're going to do disc brake conversion in the back because we had drum brakes in the back. And we went to 1-inch bore master cylinder, larger lines, and a T100 power booster. We're going to put brakes on there. So it comes with the backing plates, and these are to hang the calipers. These are a Cadillac flavor of caliper because they match up to the rotors that are dual drilled, but they have a provision here for the e-brake because we want a functioning e-brake still with the system. And many of the aftermarket calipers that you would use don't have a provision to run a cable e-brake. They use a hydraulic e-brake, or they use like a driveline clamp or some other stuff. So what we got to do to make this all work, and you guys seen that the last time it was worked on, it didn't get these axle seal kits and bearings. So I've got all this stuff knocked apart, and I wanted to kind of show you the process and what I had to do because I'm ready to knock it out now. So these were seal kits. The seal and bearing kits I don't think came from LFG. I think they came from Yoda Shop. Yeah, they did come from Yoda Shop. Yoda Shop's also been very good about getting the orders out quick. They're accurate, and their parts look really good, and a lot of them are Toyota OE. So I'm real happy with that. And the customer actually dropped some stuff from Yoda Shop too, and that stuff showed up quickly. So cool. So what we had to do is take the brake line off and then pull the e-brake cable and then pull the flange bolts. Once flange bolts come off, you can get the whole assembly off like this. I went ahead and pulled the drum, and it had wheel spacers on there too, so I pulled the drum and the wheel spacers apart. Once you get it off of there, you've got to use this special tool. You see my super special tool. I made this up yesterday because I've only got 2 to do, and I don't know when I'll do another one. So there it is. And then, so what you got to do is you got to, with the axle shaft in here sticking up, it's pressed onto this wheel bearing down here. And then the axle has these are press sleeves is what these are. And sometimes you actually have to heat them up or cool down the shaft to get them on. But the axle shaft presses through the bearing, and then it presses through this, and that's what holds it and locks it all together. And then Toyota did an extra, and they also put a locking snap ring on it. So you pull a snap ring off, and then you got to bolt this cool tool to the backing plate, and then the axle shaft sticks up through here, and then you can hook these right here and push the other side of the axle shaft and push the bearing out of it. So we got the axle shafts pushed out of here, and I was getting ready to push the new bearings onto the shafts. And when we set up the disc brakes on the truck, we're not going to use the existing drum brake backing plate. We're going to use the new backing plates. But when I went to set this all up, I realized there's no carrier housing in this setup to carry and capture this wheel bearing. It's actually down inside of the backing plate. Which is this right here with the seal on it. And so what I got to do, and I did it to this one over here, So I got to pull this unit out of there. So once you pull that unit out of there, you can drive the bearing and the seal off of it. And then you put this bearing, the new bearing, into this one on the other side of that, like that. And then you press all this together and put your lock ring in there. So that's what'll set up each axle with the new seals and the new wheel bearings. And then that essentially is ready to slide back onto the flange. The flange got new O-ring and it got new axle seals yesterday, so that's set up on both sides. So you just take this, take this one, and it goes on here happy, like that. And then you bolt the other one to it, like this. And then the caliper bolts onto it, like that. Savvy? Now once we get that all done, then we got to go back here and we got to set up e-brake cables. So they recommended a Willwood aftermarket kit, and it was listed on their website with a drop down, so I included it with the brake kit to just make this job as easy as possible, so I don't have to do any more retrofitting. Done retrofitting. God. So yeah, we'll get the e-brake cables scabbed in there, adjusted, and then we've got new lines to run for the single center and the two in the front. And then we have two more soft lines to go from the outer up to the caliper, because the original setup would go hard line directly into the backing plate, and we need to go soft line out of this into the new caliper so that it's got a little bit of jiggle and movement in it. So that's the LFG manufacturing disc brake upgrade kit. I think this setup came from LC Engineering, and the hardware and the rest of the stuff came from Yoda Shop, the seals and whatnot. Yeah, there's a brake kit explained. Again, thanks to the guys at LC Engineering, LFG Manufacturing, and Yoda Shop. You guys are killing it. Making my job a lot easier this week. Well, anyway, thank you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Y'all take care.